So the initiative order looks like this. First comes the first air elemental, second comes Björn, in third place Trog, then the second air elemental, after Xante, and lastly Cassia. One of the air elementals grows arms out of their barely visible body and tries to slam them into Trog's face. Trog's armor class is 15, while I rolled higher, a 16. The elemental hits for 4 bludgeoning damage, and he only has 6 health remaining after the elemental attack. So now it's Björn's turn. Björn unsheathes his sword and rushes towards the nearest air elemental. He tries to hit it with his sword. Roll to hit is 17. Björn hits and makes 8 damage. Trog, feeling the pain of the previous blow, roars in anger and charges at the elemental that attacked him. He swings his great axe, hoping to hit it with all his might, and does 8 slashing damage. Unfortunately for Trog and Björn, air elementals have resistances towards non-magical kinds of damage, so it's only half. There's still a long way to go before the elementals are down. The other elemental sets out for the kill on Trog. He grows a misty mouth with jagged teeth and goes for Trog's throat. But Trog sees it coming and deflects the bite with his great axe. It's now Xanthe's turn. Xanthe knows that elementals are immune to poison and psychic damage, so she decides to use her firebolt cantrip on the minor air elemental in front of her. She aims at the center of the misty body, hoping to hit something vital. Xanthe rolls a 19. She unleashes a scorching firebolt, hitting the elemental for 6 damage. Xanthe draws from the hellish blood bubbling inside her veins and releases her fire into the world. She screams at the elemental when the scorching firebolt clashes with its elemental core. The air elemental is still moving and alive, but all of you can see fiery sparks glowing from within. The next hit might very well be its demise. It's now Cassia's turn. What does she do? Cassia steps closer to the elemental and swings her short sword, aiming for its midsection. She gets a 13 and hits. How are you finishing the air elemental? Cassia swings her short sword like a blur. It makes a soft whistling sound as it slices through the air and lands right on the air elemental, dealing the final blow. The elemental disintegrates into a cloud of vapor and fades away. The remaining air elemental sees its companion dissipate into nothing and seems to retreat, hovering and swirling around. ChatGPT continues with the air elemental fleeing, but that's a bit too much initiative from their player. I would too hope that the other elemental would just disappear. But let's see about this. I will make a wisdom roll for the remaining air elemental if it really retreats, and it's an 18, so its spirit does not falter. The air elemental stays and is determined to fight you to death. It's Björn's turn now. Björn steps up to the air elemental, grabbing his long sword with both hands. He takes a deep breath and swings it down on the creature. And it's a 17. The long sword hits the air elemental with a loud clang, but it's still not enough to finish it off. Weird metallic noise, but hey, air elementals don't follow real physics, right? Björn did 10 damage with his long sword, but because air elementals are resistant, it's just 5. Trog, our trusted dwarven cleric, is up. Trog, enraged by the air elementals' continued attacks, raises his great axe high and charges towards the creature. With a fierce battle cry, he swings his weapon down at the elemental with all his might. Trog rolls a 14 to hit and deals 8 damage. The great axe sinks into the air elemental's head, and if this would have been a normal being, they would surely be dead. But the air elemental's body is ever changing, and it quickly adapts to the blow, darting around the great axe and reforming itself a bit of a distance away from its blade. It then tries to one-up Frog and attacks him once again with its mouth. It rolls 16, so higher than Frog's armor class of 15, and makes 6 damage, which is exactly as much health as Frog has remaining. Frog drops to the ground, severely bleeding from the punctures the air elemental's needle-like teeth have left. It is now Xanthe's turn. Xanthe casts Magic Missile on the air elemental in order to finish it off. And I say, you definitely finish it off. Describe how Xanthe casts Magic Missile and how the spell impacts the air elemental. I always like to ask my players to describe the killing blow, how they finish the fight. This makes them a bit more spectacular than just, I attack, okay, it's this much damage, next. Anyway, Xanthe takes a deep breath and channels her magic energy into her hands, creating 3 shimmering glowing darts of magical force. She raises her hands and points her fingers towards the elemental. The missiles soar towards it, swirling around each other as they fly. When they hit the air elemental, they explode in a brilliant burst of light, creating a shockwave that shakes the ground beneath. The elemental is engulfed in a dazzling display of colors as it disintegrates into nothingness. The last bits of it fade away, leaving no trace behind. The air settles and silence falls, signaling the end of the battle. The air elemental ambush has been defeated, but at no small cost. Frog is lying in the murky waters with his face down and bleeding out more and more as time goes by. What do you do? Xanthe immediately runs to Frog's side and starts to tend to his wounds. She uses her knowledge of medicine to try and stop the bleeding and stabilize him. Björn and Kasia help her with the task, making sure that Frog is as comfortable as possible. So, make a medicine check with advantage, please. Xanthe checks Frog's pulse and sees that he is still alive. He begins to quickly assess his wounds. With a medicine check of 19, she manages to stabilize him. Frog slowly comes to his senses. He is muddied by a mixture of his own blood and filthy swamp water, but he is alive, barely. Xanthe quickly helps Frog up, trying her best to avoid any further injuries. She then uses her remaining spell slot to cast Cure Wounds, healing him for 6 HP. Hang in there, Frog. We need you, she says, giving him a reassuring pat on the shoulder. Frog groans in pain as he tries to get up, but his body fails him. He looks around, dazed and confused, and tries to remember what happened. What happened? Is everyone okay? He asks with a hoarse voice. Frog coughs up some water and weakly tries to push himself up on his elbows, but immediately falls back with a groan of pain. I'm alive, he mutters, barely audible. Thanks, Xanthe. Björn walks over to Frog and helps him up. You took a big hit there, little buddy, he says, his gruff voice filled with concern. Need to get you to safety. Kasia looks around at the murky swamp. Rogue senses on high alert. We need to move, says firmly. Who knows what else is lurking around here? The party helps Frog to his feet, and they begin to make their way through the swamp. The air is thick with humidity, and the mud makes it difficult to move quickly. The group is silent, each lost in their own thoughts. We travel for a week, and luckily without any greater interferences. Much of this is thanks to Kasia, your local guide. How are the group's interactions in the meantime? Immerse yourself into every character and use direct speech. Keep in mind that Björn is chaotic good, Rock lawful good, Kasia neutral evil, and Xanta chaotic neutral. So now is the time for some roleplay, and this is what ChatGPT came up with. Björn, I can't wait to get out of this swamp. My sword is dull and I need some proper food and ale. Rock, we should not rush it. We must be vigilant and prepare for any dangers that may lie ahead. Kasia, you worry too much, old man. You're slowing us down. We can handle anything that comes our way. Shante, I agree with Kasia. We are a strong group. We have been through worse. Let's enjoy the journey and worry about the rest later. I like your style, Xante. You're always so chill. I'm not slowing us down. I'm only being cautious. There are dangers in these swamps that you don't even know of, Kasia. I know more about these swamps than you ever will, Frog. Trust me, we'll be fine. I trust Kasia. She has proven herself to be a valuable guide so far. And she's not bad to look at either, if you know what I mean. Björn, that's inappropriate. You must treat Kasia with respect. Relax, Drog. I can handle myself. And Björn, I'm not interested in your flirtations. Let's focus on the task at hand, says Xante. We have a mission to complete. Right you are, Xante, but let's not forget to enjoy the journey as well. Life's too short to be all serious. Life's also too short to waste it on frivolous distractions. We must remain focused on our mission. I can see both sides of the coin, but let's not argue. We have a week of travel ahead of us, and we need to work together if we want to make it out alive. As the group walks along the forest path, Björn turns to Throg and asks, So, Throg, what made you become a cleric? Was it always a calling? Throg scratches his beard and replies, I wouldn't call it a calling, Björn. My power comes from within and from my ancestors. The dwarfs believe that part of our soul rests in a masterfully crafted object wrought by our own hands. Xanthe chimes in. That's a fascinating concept, Throg. As a sorcerer, my magic is innate and comes from within me as well, but I've never heard of using a crafted object as a conduit. Do you think other races have similar beliefs? Tarsus coughs. I don't know about other races, but I don't need any spiritual power or fancy objects to get what I want. I rely on my own strength and cunning. Throg gives her disapproving look. Careful, Cassia. Pride comes before the fall. It's always wise to have a little faith in something, eat yourself or something greater. Björn nods in agreement. Indeed, Throg, faith can be a powerful tool, whether it's faith in oneself, in a higher power, or in the strength of one's companions. The group continues their journey, lost in thought and conversation, as they make their way through the forest. You are very near to Radogrid. In Yemeniki's realm at war with Varvelag, its overlord, the first destination of your quest for Terran's compass. As the group travels through the final stretch of the grey marshes, the tension in the air is palpable. Xanthe keeps a watchful eye on the surrounding foliage, ever vigilant for any signs of danger. Cassia, on the other hand, seems more relaxed, as if the swamps themselves were on her side. Björn is lost in thought, seemingly deep in contemplation. Throg, however, seems the most affected by the impending destination. His grip on his magnum opus tightens, and he speaks up. Friends, we are nearly there. Radogrid is just beyond these marshes. I cannot say what danger awaits us, but we must be prepared for anything. You're not in agreement. I thought we shall be prepared as always, but I cannot help but wonder what we shall find there. Will they aid us in our quest for Terran's compass, or will they be our enemies as well? Dante chimes in.
Whatever it is, we shall face it head on. I did not sign up for this adventure to run from danger.
Cassia remains silent, an expression unreadable. As you move forward, you finally step back onto solid ground for the first time in a week. Your feet feel disgustingly wet as they squelch in your shoes. But at least you won't have to endure this for much longer. You can see a tiny hut across a field of high grass. Grog approaches the hut cautiously, his hand resting on the hilt of his axe. Cassia, do you know whose hut this is? He asks. Cassia shrugs. I've no idea. We're on the outskirts of Radagrid now, and it's likely just some peasant's hut. We should be fine as long as we don't cause any trouble. Björn nods in agreement. We should just keep moving towards Radagrid. The sooner we get there, the sooner we can find Terran's compass. Xante, on the other hand, seems more interested in the hut itself.
I wonder if they have any more interesting trinkets in there,
she says, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Drog frowns at Xante's comment. You're not here to steal from anyone. Let's just continue on to Radagrid. At that, let's end this session. Next time, the heroes will find themselves in a new land, much different from the Empire. I want ChatGPT to make a quick recap. I asked it to be as accurate as possible, and to not invent things that have never happened. And this is its final answer. Sure, during our first session, our group of adventurers consisting of Brok, Björn, Cassie, and Xante started their journey from Tildgard towards Radagrid. Along the way, they fought an ambush of air elementals, with Brok getting heavily injured in the process. Cassia provided much needed guidance through the treacherous grey marshes, and the group had various conversations about the motivations and backgrounds. Finally, they arrived at a small hut near Radagrid, where they planned to continue their search for Terran's compass. Just perfect. Beautiful answer. Our story will continue soon. Stay tuned for more tales by the fire.